Thanks to the EA Creator Network for providing me a free code for Home Chef Hustle. My opinions are my own. Hey folks, how's it going? This is Iron Seagull here, back with my first stuff pack review in almost 3 years. The last stuff pack released in January of 2021, Paranormal, which is a pretty beloved stuff pack, but after all this time, I was not expecting stuff packs to ever return. But they now have a new team in Europe working on these. While stuff packs were hated for quite a while, just like how kits are now, the last few, they raised the bar, so there was definitely a higher standard to live up to bring the stuff packs back. So, do I think this new team was successful in bringing back the stuff pack formula? Well, let's find out, starting with Create a Sim. So, even though I heavily favor Create a Sim over Build Buy, I would still say this was the weakest part of the stuff pack, though that's not to say it's bad. I think there's some pretty nice and charming creative stuff going on. It's just that there isn't a whole lot of stuff I would use in everyday situations. It would be very focused for the most part towards my Sims who would be chefs hustling with this pack. But there is some cute stuff, like that hat that you just saw there. You'll see a couple more when we get to the masculine section, but most of the hair in this pack is actually just one hairstyle with 4 different variants, because you have a natural and an ombre, and then you have both of those, each with bandana variants. It sucks that we can't customize the bandana colors separately, because there's some really interesting swatches, but then they are associated with the hair color I might not always use, so yeah, but that is more a Sims 4 problem than this pack specifically. I love the new jewelry though, like the pizza hoop earrings, the knife earrings, as well as like a whisk set where you have a whisk necklace as well as whisk earrings. There's some very creative designs for these shirts and full body outfits that really contribute to the fiction of you just running your own food stand with your own sort of like distinctive marketing. Maybe you're running a pizza stand, or a seafood stand, or even a lemonade stand if you have backyard stuff, so it is cool that they kept those sorts of things in mind. They even have a cooking utensils tattoo. I was not expecting that at all, but that's so funny. That feels like a very sort of like me thing that I would put in this sort of pack. It's just a very quirky Sims thing to do. It is interesting they even have a pair of gloves that are transparent. You saw that a little bit earlier though. Just make sure to not wear fingernails with it because they will show through, so I thought I would show that. By the way, I am sorry I'm just breezing through Create a Sim and Build Buy a lot quicker than I would with a kit review because I have some gameplay to fit into this one, so I don't want to take too long to get to that. But yeah, there's the masculine hair as you saw. I actually quite like both of those, and they are available for younger age groups too. There's even something for infants that we'll see a bit later, but yeah, a lot of the same stuff as the feminine fashion. Yeah, there are those gloves again. Actually, the first pair of gloves is quite interesting too, with the different swatches. I love how a couple of the full body outfits have messy variants too, just so you can really simulate like, oh hey, there's some history here. Moving on to the children in a second, of course, as usual, they get less stuff than the adults, but still some pretty cute stuff here. I'm glad they are getting better at making the hair available for younger ages and not just the older ones. And yeah, that sort of like cupcake hat is available for the children, and you have this apron under full body outfits, and you also have this t-shirt available with many of the same swatches that the older age groups have. So yeah, kind of like the poolside splash kit, you can have a whole family of matching outfits. And yeah, the toddlers do have that hairstyle as well as the cupcake hat again. And then for infants, yeah, we have just the onesie and that same cupcake hat again. On top of that, we have not just one, but 2 new aspirations. Appliance Whiz under the food category, where the reward trait is batch cook, where if your sim uses prepped ingredients, then they get more of just one of that recipe when it's done cooking. Under Fortune, we have Market Magnate, where the reward trait is Booth Boss, where your sims can actually be even more successful in marking up their prices and managing to convince sims to buy the product. They both have 4 stages, which I personally much prefer over having just one. Now let's move on to the build buy. So we have a new wallpaper and floor tile, a whole new kitchen set. It's kind of funny how they display in the main menu item list because it looks like there's way less than there actually is, because you have the counters and all the different variants like the corner pieces, and same thing with the island counters and also the upper cabinet. So it is a pretty complete kitchen set this time around. There's also some new clutter, including plates you can stack up all the way to the sky if you want, as well as a knife block. There's a cookbook that I assumed was decor, but is actually functional, so it has some similar functionality to a fridge. Another cool object is a dishwasher, but takes up less space than a normal one. I wish we had more objects like that included in tiny living stuff. There's also a new sink that looks pretty nice. There are some wall objects like a range hood, a pair of shelves, and some shelves that actually come in all 3 different wall heights, which was pretty surprising. There's also a hanging dish rack that is meant to go over the sink, so that's pretty interesting. They definitely did take some local inspiration with a European team working on this. Of course, there is a new fridge and a stove that are pretty fancy looking. That would be strange if those weren't included in a kitchen stuff pack. Overall, the swatches I think are pretty nice. I don't think I have any complaints about them, though especially if you match the orange and black swatches together, it gives me very strong Sims 2 kitchen and bath stuff vibes. And of course we have the 4, though I guess I'd say it's more 3.5, but there's the food stand mixer, the pizza oven, and waffle maker. Let's go through how each of them work, starting with the stand mixer. I was surprised by this one. I think this can bring a lot of change to how you cook in The Sims 4. So there are 3 different upgrades as you saw there, and there are a bunch of different ingredients that you can prep and store in Tupperware. And these ingredients help reduce the cost of the food that you make, as well in certain cases the cooking time, so you can skip a step if you want. To know which recipes can have reduced cooking time, just look at where the recipe is in the list, and if there's some stopwatches behind it, that means you can reduce the cooking time if you have the appropriate ingredients on your inventory or in your fridge. And if you already have the required ingredients to do that, then the recipe will be highlighted in blue, as you can see with some of those. I already had Meredith prepare some batter ahead of time, so it's basically the desserts that she can make, but I want to make like a main course with some meat in it. Some just require 1 prepped meat, while others are more complicated, but at this point I'm just like, okay, I need to definitely make some prepped meat. So now it's time for me to click on the stand mixer to do just that. It does require at least level 4 cooking skill, and what is interesting about all 3 of these new kitchen appliances is that your sim doesn't need to stand in front of them the whole time while they're waiting for it to finish. You can go off and do other stuff. It does take about 20 minutes for these appliances to finish their thing, but yeah, you could just go and play games on your phone or just talk to other Sims, whatever. But after those 20 sim minutes are up, then it will be finished. You can see in the case of the stand mixer, it does have a green light that activates. Then you can go and collect your ingredients. It does give you more than 1 of that prepped ingredient at a time, so that also helps you save time with cooking the actual recipes in the long run. Unless you are about to leave your home lot to run your food stand, I recommend putting your prepped ingredients in the fridge. Even though they still last a decent amount of time in your Sim's personal inventory, you might end up running into the scenario where you end up having them expire in your Sim's inventory because you just forgot to put them away. Looking at the cooking menu again, there are more of them that are highlighted in blue so that we can save some time. So let's actually make some beef ramen using our prepped meat, and you can see it does say cooking time reduced. Now Meredith is going to start out by going to the fridge, getting the prepped meat out of it, and instead of doing that whole mixing bowl stage, she's going straight over to the stove and will start stirring that beef ramen. The lag during cooking can still be pretty annoying. After the recent patch, sometimes after I've selected a recipe, the game gets stuck paused for a few seconds before the game moves again. But you can see there is a buff, Prep for Success, from using a prepped ingredient in your food, so that's pretty nice. And there we go, the beef ramen is now finished, and it did turn out to be excellent quality. You are still able to use the prepped ingredients from the stand mixer with the waffle maker and pizza oven, but the recipes in those do not have any reduced cooking time. It is really nice though that the stand mixer integrates with the existing recipes and not just the new ones in this pack. So now let's talk about the return of the pizza oven. So now it is a tabletop object, and there's roughly a dozen new recipes, and you can also use the base game ones as well as the ones we got with Discover University. I went for the Caliente pizza because I just love how it references that household in the description. It actually does give some context for that. Yeah, it is really cool. I love how many of the recipes now have descriptions, so if you don't know what it is all about, then the game can tell you. I love the starting and finishing animations of this. I think I will use this just as often as I did back during the Sims 3 days. And just the sound design and the animation of it just finishing up and the steam coming out of the top, it's really nice. So you can collect the meal to put the pizza in your inventory instantly, you can serve it right away, or put the whole pizza maker in your inventory. I find it a little goofy that it goes straight into a pizza box, like as if it's coming from the pizza delivery service, which unfortunately that does not offer the new pizzas with this stuff pack, but there it is, the Caliente pizza. I don't think the food looks all that great up close, but that's pretty much like typical Sims 4 problem. Then we have the waffle maker. Finally, we got justice for waffles after almost 10 years. We've had pancakes the whole time, but no waffles. We do have a pretty decent selection here, even pumpkin spice waffles, which is pretty timely for those of us living in the Northern Hemisphere. And of course, they had to include chicken and waffles. I ended up choosing banana split waffles because I would not mind trying those in real life. That sounds pretty tasty. But look at that, the steam coming out and pouring the batter on there. That just looks really cool. I love the animations with the waffle maker. And yep, once again, you can just do whatever you want while you wait for the waffles to complete. Just like with the stand mixer and pizza oven, there is a green light that goes off once it is completed. And just like with the pizza oven, you can collect them to put them in your inventory right away or serve them. So overall, another solid addition to your Sims kitchens, especially if they take their breakfast seriously. One other thing I forgot to mention that all three of these appliances have in common is that they are portable, which will be very handy for the food stand, which we'll discuss now. So I kind of call this like a half new gameplay object because in functionality it is pretty similar to the sales tables that we received in packs like City Living and Jungle Adventure, except this one is better catered towards selling food. One neat addition though is the ability to name your food stand whatever you want, as well as choose from a dozen different icons, which I almost missed that option because the little arrow is so tiny. One other major difference is that there are 2 slots available to place kitchen appliances on, and not just the ones in Home Chef Hustle, but even some from other packs, such as the drink trays from Spa Day and Backyard Stuff, or the popcorn machine from Movie Hangout Stuff, or even the ice cream machine from Cool Kitchen. There is an option to disable or enable auto stock so that while you're in the middle of a food sale, you don't have to worry about manually restocking everything. And yeah, you do have the options from the sales table, like just opening up the inventory, putting it into your Sims inventory, and starting the food sale. With these food stands, they don't have to be on your home lot. You could just have it off lot anywhere in the neighborhood that's routable, or just go to another location entirely. In this case, I went to the Crawdad Quarter in downtown Willow Creek to just try this out. Since you are able to put appliances on the food stand and not just the food that you're selling, then you can still cook while you're in the middle of the sale. And then it makes even more sense that the new appliances don't require you to keep standing in front of them, because while your new food is cooking, you can easily keep selling your current stock to your customers, keeping that sales flow going. I was surprised with how much fun I had doing these food sales. This is definitely something I want to do more of in the future with multiple Sims in my save. So you are able to mark up the prices like you can at the sales table up to 300%, though it will make your products harder to sell if you make them that expensive. And yeah, weird thing there where Townie just went up to the popcorn maker and used it, and I saw that same thing happen on the English Simmer stream with the ice cream machine, so I think it is a problem with those two in particular, because I didn't see it happen with the waffle maker or pizza oven while on the food stand. You are also able to help sell your products to your Sims by clicking on the target customer and either convincing them to buy a specific thing that is currently in stock on your table, or just generally giving a sales pitch. Depending on the situation, there are a few exclusive buffs that you can get through the food stand, like with this satisfied customer one that's pretty general, just making everyone's day. There's also one that I ended up getting later, just after the sale ended, where if you sell drinks or ice cream specifically during warm weather, then there will be a buff for that. Apparently there's even one where if you're selling raw meat to werewolves, then there's also that. So that's a nice little detail, making you feel like you're having a bit more impact through your actions while selling your food. Here we go, there's Meredith making some pizza marinara while still in the middle of a food sale. One weird thing I find with the customers is that even though I made sure to place my food stand very close to some benches and tables, they would very rarely sit at them to eat. Though I didn't think of actually testing this on a buildable lot. Every time I did it was actually off lot. But still, the only time it happened was I saw two Sims eat at the bench right next to the food stand, but never the tables. Now, I can't say Home Chef Hustle has caused this issue because that has been around for quite a long time. I even remember with the City Living food stands, whenever my Sims got food from there, they would hardly ever sit down at nearby picnic tables. I'd have to make them do that. It is nice though that they programmed it so that your customers do eat the food in front of you and you can see their reactions instead of them just, say, buying the food and walking off with it and just never seeing what they think. Though I do wish they had still gone a bit further with it. Like, what if they had brought back the 5-star rating system from Dine Out so your food stand could get a star rating and then there'd be a bit of progression that way. Maybe you could read some like funny reviews online of just what other Sims think of your products. At least if you use the market magnate aspiration, then there is some sort of progress that you would use the food stand for to get further in it. But yeah, it still would be nice if there was a more general rating system for any Sim who runs the food stand. Another issue I've run into, you can even see with these two customers right here, is that occasionally they get stuck, I think for about 10 to 15 sim minutes. I've never had to use the reset sim cheat. They do figure it out, but it can get pretty awkward if you see that happening with multiple Sims at the same time especially. Oh, and one other thing, don't worry about having to do the dishes, because once your customers are done eating their food, then they'll just kind of place the plate in the air and it vanishes. But still, it didn't stop me from having fun with this. So now it is about to end. If I remember correctly, it lasts 5, maybe 6 hours, which is good because depending on where you place your food stand, you may have to wait a bit for customers to actually show up. Your results do also integrate with a couple other packs because Meredith did earn the entrepreneur skill from high school years and a bit of fame thanks to Get Famous. From this round of food sales, I earned 332 simoleons, and it is nice that it breaks down how much exactly each food item made. By the way, that was entirely done on a 25% markup, so if you decide to mark it up a lot higher, I think you potentially could turn this into more than just a simple side hustle. And if you do want to make it like a career, even though it's not a career in the conventional sense, you could register with the Ministry of Labor and then name your own career that way, so then it could still take up something in the career panel if that's how you want to see it. And there you have it, that's Home Chef Hustle, the 19th stuff pack for The Sims 4. So, do I think it's worth your money? Yes, Actually, I think this is one of the few stuff packs that is definitely worth the $10. You get so much more than you would in just a kit, and while I don't feel like this would top Nifty Knitting or Paranormal Stuff in my book, top 3. Top 3 for sure. The waffle maker and pizza oven were definitely appliances I wanted to see in The Sims 4. The stand mixer adds an interesting layer of depth to cooking that I never knew I wanted in the first place. And the food stand, while buggy, is still an enjoyable additional gameplay element that made me realize, even though I like cooking in The Sims 4, I don't have that many Sims that really are like professional chefs. If this new Europe-based stuff pack team can keep up this level of quality in the future, then I'm really excited to see what they'll cook up next. There's even a bunch of ideas that they could work with from previous stuff pack votes that never made the cut. Oh, actually I forgot one little detail. Your Sims can eat the dough raw if you want them to. I didn't get any unique buff for it, but yeah, just a funny thing you can do. Just eat it straight out of the Tupperware. Oh yeah, and there are a couple of special waffle and pizza recipes that give some effects, so have fun finding that out. They just stuffed so much into this stuff pack. But feel free to let me know your thoughts on Home Chef Hustle in the comments section below, and be sure to subscribe if you'd like to keep up with my latest gaming content. I will talk to you all later, and have a great day. Thanks for watching!